Music carries its culture. It cares for it. Here in Hawaii, each new generation receives its musical heritage from the past, and it takes on the awesome kuleana, or responsibility, of carrying it forward to the next. Along the way, adding to it new songs and interpretations of beloved standards. This is our musical heritage. This is our tradition. Here in Hawaii, our music reflects our culture, and our culture reflects our music. And the perfect example of this is found in the music and life of David Kahiapo. Aloha, the spirit of aloha, is the best way to describe Kawika Kahiapo. Because in his music and his life, through mentorships, volunteer efforts, and his musical generosity, Kawika is a great example of aloha in action. And in his music, you can hear a deep reverence for the traditions of Hawaiian music. Ke kari mo'olelo, the sound of tradition in the life and music of Kawika Kahiapo.
E ho mai kai ke mai luna mai e o nā mea una anuia o nā mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai kai ke mai luna mai e o nā mea una anuia o nā mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai kai ke mai luna mai e o nā mea una anuia o nā mele e ho mai e ho mai. Nani wale na pua Leika I lima O ka ui ho heno O ka kui hewa.
My family originates both in Maui and Kohala. On Maui specifically, this place, Pauela, was called Kahiapo Village at once. My mom's family is Ka'aiali'i at Kauhane, my grandfather from Keaukaha, and my grandma Annie, Ka'aiali'i from Puna. My dad's mom is from Kohala. My tutu man, 9 generations back, is this guy, Kaloku Okomaile, Kamehameha's older brother by 20 years. At one point, Kaloku Okomaile and his mother were chiefs of Hana in Maui. I did not learn that or come to know that history until in my adulthood. It was going through the genealogy process that I started to make some connecting points and realize how deep the heritage was. I was born 1960. Born and raised in Kaneohe. I was born in Queens Hospital. My mom and dad were typical Hawaiian family. Six kids, so I have 5 siblings. We did a lot together as a family. We did a lot of outdoor activities, camping, playing music with aunties and uncles, and so the whole lifestyle sort of kind of led up to this sort of aloha theme of helping and supporting stuff in the community, being a close-knit family. When I was growing up, pre-technology, much of our childhood was spent out in the aina, out in the outdoors, at the beach a whole lot, camping with my family. We'd do like 2.5-month camping trips at Kahana, almost like today would be called squatters. My connection to the water, to the ocean, something that started as a young age, my preteen years, you know. The early camping days at Kahana, easily 4, 5, 6 hours a day, I'd be in the ocean. We'd go snorkeling, paddle out, drop crab nets. The ocean vibe was something that was a big part of our lives from a very young age. My mom worked, you know, when she was raising all 6 of us. She held down a 9 to 5, I'll call it. You know, so both mom and dad were busy. At a young age, we were sort of responsible enough, we could take care of ourselves and just go ahead and go on about our daily duties. My father worked really hard at providing for 6 children. For 13 years, he worked 2 jobs. He was a paramedic at Hawaii State Hospital and go out and work construction during the day from like 7 to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. He worked really hard providing for us, but he always made the time to take us on outings. I appreciate what my dad did in raising us all to be a close-knit family and to love the outdoors. My dad would get us up and take us for a drive to, say, Heiakia Pier Harbor, and go fishing with bamboo sticks. He'd walk. I remember him walking me to the neighborhood burger joint on the corner with the little spin stools, and you sit up on the counter. And so Kaneohe had a very awesome, rural, kind of cool little town nestled by the mountains and near the ocean, where we could get the best of both worlds. I remember sleeping on a bunk bed and looking out my window and staring at these mountains and feeling like a sense of security, a sense of guardianship. I felt like it was always something special that was right in my backyard, you know. And until today, I'm like 56 years old, and I never get tired of looking at these mountains and really feeling blessed, knowing that it's a part of my hometown upbringing. With all the camping trips, family parties in our garage, in our house, much of the family gatherings usually ended up with a jam session after like the dinner meal and hanging out. My grandma sang. My mom has 7, 8 sisters. They all sang. So there'd be like a choir, you know, Hawaiian music, my dad playing slack key, my uncle on steel guitar. There was an upright bass that my grandpa played. So early on into my musical exposure, it was that experience that kind of started to sort of work its way into my being. My dad had been teaching me ukulele for about 2 years, and when I was 10 years old, he came over to me, sat me down, laid the guitar in my lap, and before he stood up and walked away, he leaned over and did this. Even now, I feel the vibration of the box on my body. When he did that, I describe that as like a spiritual experience. When I felt that vibration, I looked at the guitar and I was like, I want to do this. Just that feeling really opened up my whole world. Following that guitar moment I had with my dad, I was so overwhelmed with the feeling of what the instrument could do. I took it very seriously. At that point, easily, I could not go without a day without playing for at least an hour, 2 hours. I really, really dove into it.
Gosh, you were so young. Because they lived down the park, across the park in Kaneohe, and yeah, he had a big family. So I used to see him playing his ukulele on the wall. It's true. And he was, you know, any musician or entertainer would hear another young, you know, kid or someone that plays very well, it catches your ear, yeah? He was talented.
There were seeds that were planted into me probably in my early teenage years, 14, 15. Along with the jam sessions, our family got heavily involved with canoe club activities. So every time there was a moment for a jam session, it was almost like, get the guitar, boy, and jump in, sort of thing. And I did it willingly and happily, and was able to glean from each and every one of them song lyrics, tunings, chord progressions and stuff. And I guess it was really about that time I started to really recognize my Hawaiianness and my place, my time, and my response, I guess is the word, on what am I going to do with it and how am I going to embrace it and later on learn how to perpetuate it and protect it. High school, I went to Castle High School, graduate of class of 1978. High school years for me was sort of a blur. Typical Hawaiian kid. I was more interested in the shop classes than I was the academic ones. Art class did well, math not so good. But I was already playing music, and some of my very close friends, along with myself, formed a group in high school that led to sort of small-time family gigs after high school. I knew deep inside it was what I wanted to do. I graduated in 1978 and started clubbing that summer, and it's been ever since. Actually, I snuck into clubs when I was like 16 to play with some bunch of guys, and my dad didn't know. When I was like 4 or 5 years old, at a time when money was really tight, I think my dad bought a console stereo and spun a bunch of Gabby records. And now that I think back, it was listening to that music that was getting into me. I realized that's the sound that I want to make and create. So later on in my years with some of the garage family parties and jams with the canoe club and a bunch of my uncles who were involved, they would start to bring Gabby over to the house, and we'd sit and play. And the first few times was kind of awkward for me, sitting face to face with the master. I was like the little kid in a candy shop, so to speak. I mean, there he was, that guy whose music I was not just exposed to now. By the time I was 13, 14, there were specific songs that I can recall playing over and over again. It was just growing on me, I guess, so to speak. So to finally be able to spend time with him when he would come over and hang out doing some of the jam sessions was really huge for me. Gabby's ability to unselfishly lean over, show me something, teach me something. There was always the real serious side to sitting with Gabby, and the more loose, goosey side of just hanging out, having fun, and jamming. It was those moments when I was able to really pick his brain and ask him some deep questions about his music theory, some chords, and some tunings. And he gave me some amazing schooling. So I'm blessed and I'm thankful that I was in that period of time where I had those opportunities to sit with him and learn from him. Another influence on my life, culturally, musically, was with Auntie Alice Namakelua. My auntie Pualoke de la Serna lives in Kahana Valley. And right about the time when I was just a sponge soaking up information and stuff, 13, 14 years old, I would go spend time with my auntie in Kahana and have the amazing opportunity to sit in with, we called her Tutu Alice. Her iconic Wahine G tuning, slack key. I would ask her about songwriting, compositions, her slack key style. And her approach on slack key, being an elder, was so profound. And sometimes less is more. And I was told by Gabby, I was told by Sonny Chillingworth, Peter Moon. That flash and speed isn't always the most impressive thing to do. Sometimes, even Gabby told me, if you're just gonna play like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, do it your way, deliver it in a way that's uniquely you, even if it's just soft, slow, and smooth. And so Tutu Alice was one of those that reaffirmed that thought, is that your spirit, your playing ability, and your delivery is the key in making the piece you're presenting more enjoyable for the listening audience. She was so willing to talk and teach and share. You know, she was very strict, and but I'm so thankful that I had those moments with her.
Nani wale kualoa I ka lauloa I ke aiwa o ke kumopalela A me mokoli I ua lana I ke kai Mahalo au I ka nania o kualoa Mahalo au I ka nania o kualoa Ka aawa I ka lihine I ke kai E nanea e au I ke one ka kai Pā kolona he ke ahe holo pali Oha oha I ka malua o ka ama Oha oha I ka malua o ka ama Ai ala ka hana ulu vehi vehi O ai ia e na pali anu hea I ke ane malua lua ki I vai O ohihi ka I ke na o ka hana O ohihi ka I ke na o ka hana Una luu I ka holo na pe o ka niu Ona ona I ka pua o ka hina no Ki hapai pua o lumahi e ia Hano hano e kala ia o puna lu Hano hano e kala ia o puna lu A ina ku umele puanda nei Ie vale ka pali ko o lau A me mokoli I ualana I ke kai Mahalo au I ka nanea o kualoa Mahalo au I ka nanea o kualoa Mahalo au I ka nania o kualoa
When my dad introduced me to slack key on his nylon guitar, for the first 5 years of my playing guitar altogether was strictly slack key, wasn't anything else. I guess at some point when I was in high school, I realized I should start to play standard tuning, sort of work my way in towards playing more contemporary music. The early days, we would do some cheap gigs or end up in nightclubs and playing. Yeah, during those times, we played all the cover Hawaiian stuff, including some contemporary stuff. So there was always like the sort of reggae influence, the Latin influence, the jazz influence. We did a bunch of top 40 covers along with Hawaiian music. You know, chalang-alang, ukulele. To this day, I still apply slack key 100% when I'm sitting in with others playing, contemporary music. My first paying gig, I'm gonna say probably when I was like 15, playing at a luau, and someone gave us cash, and I was like, wow, I could do this. There was a couple of dive bars in Kaneohe that we would go in and jam and play. We would go just to sit in and watch some other musicians play, like Uncle Mo, Mike Ka'ava, and get called up and jam and just sit down and just get our feet wet, I guess, so to speak, as a young musician. And I was gung-ho to pursue it to a professional level. And I did by the time I was 18. One of the first clubs in Waikiki I played at was a club not knowing to have live music, but the leader of our group, Chucky Boy, went and negotiated with the management to take a little round booth, just yank the table out. We actually sat on the higher back end of the booth with our legs dangling in, with our mic set up, playing that way. And it was called the Aloha Surf Lounge, and it was right across the street from the noodle shop where Uncle Mo was. Waikiki had a lot of different venues and a lot of different genres of music. There was jazz, Hawaiian, there's contemporary stuff. And through that whole mid-70s, towards the late 70s, again, we had all the iconic guys like Sisilo and Kupono, Kalapana. Gabby played Hawaiian music, but the people he hung out with were a lot of mainstream musicians and producers. So I guess the influence of all kinds of different styles and genres of music was something that I guess was like a pool of resources that local musicians could tap into. Well, the first time we recorded professional was in 1978. I think the actual album got released in 1979 with a band that Chucky Boy Chalk assembled together. Oahu Brand, some friends of mine in high school. It was a cool band, and it was the first time we were exposed to, at the time, was one of the best recording studios in Hawaii. So that first project with Chucky Boy, I was just one of the band members. At some point following my involvement with Chucky Boy and his band, in 1979, I went back to the 9-to-5 job market, worked at a printing company, and Palani Vaughn would come in and do a whole bunch of his own artwork. And it was at a party we had at our company one day in a parking lot. My boss told me, Palani's coming tonight, bring your guitar. And I had already been covering and playing some of Palani's music off his earlier albums.
He was working for one of my friends in a printing company, and they had a party, and I hear his guitar, and I heard this guy singing and playing. I said, whoa, and that's where it started.
I think he was a little surprised at the fact that I could follow along. And that was just a loosey-goosey parking lot jam. 2 months later, I get a call from my boss upstairs, rings me on the intercom, and he said, I just got a call from Palani.
Of course, his boss was my friend, so I spoke to him about allowing him, to have that time, and my friend was totally supportive of music. So it all worked out. We did rehearsals in the Ala Moana showroom.
Richard Ho, the guitarist at that time, was leaving the band, and Palani was offering me the position. I was 19 at the time, just got married that previous summer, and I thought, what?
And so we did a series of weeks as he learned the material. And so the rest is history. He stepped into the seat, and it was a remarkable.
Actually, many people thought that he was kind of like a Palani Vaughn himself, a junior, because the voices were similar, So, but I basically saw a lot of potential in Kawika, because he not only had a beautiful voice, but he could play.
That was the defining moment, one of the defining moments for me. I accepted the offer, 2 weeks later, showed up at the first rehearsal and began to make music professionally, officially, as a young budding artist at 19 with Palani Vaughn in the Kama'aina room at Ala Moana Hotel.
The first time I worked with Kavika Kahiapo was with Palani Vaughn in the King Zone. Palani was doing so much in the way of music, in concerts, and he was headed to Japan for the 100th anniversary of King David Kalakaua. So during that time, it was a great sharing of the music of the monarchy, but with energy, with a different sound, with a feeling that was one of a kind. And so Kavika came right into that as a young talent.
Actually, he is kind of like the backbone of the whole King Zone thing, you know. Those guys had a really deep baritone type voices, you know. Yeah, and so it's noticeable when you have a certain style, and the way that they were playing the Hawaiian music was a little bit more masculine, you know. So they sounded like, you know, warriors or troops.
Was so awesome. Some of the highlights of my musical career was spending on the stage with Palani, bringing some of the history of the royal family through his music. I really cherish a lot of those moments.
Kavika had many wonderful opportunities to be mentored in Hawaiian music, starting with his father, Auntie Alice Namakilua and Gabby Pahinui, then later on with Palani Vaughn. But he's always focused on being a backing musician, helping others to shine brighter. But in 1996, that all changed when Kavika decided to strike out on his own and release his first solo album, which began an incredible creative period that continues till today.
My career as just a backup musician and studio musician was pretty much what I was doing through the late 70s. At some point, I left the professional music scene. My wife and I got involved in a little local church in Honolulu, and you know, it was in the church that I hung out with a bunch of friends and other musicians who had played professionally. We got together and started writing, you know, contemporary Christian stuff. That was like the early 80s. When I was basically not performing professionally for a while, I had a house in Laie, and I had a radio station on Hawaiian radio one day. There was a call for an audition. My wife was like, "Why don't you go try?" And I did, and I went with my guitar, and it was the producer of the group Naleo Pili Mihana got hired as a band member for Naleo. So here I was, sort of not playing music for like 8-9 years. I worked at a print shop. Some of the other types of work I did was grocery clerk, cashier in a supermarket. And later on in my career, I became a carpenter. Right up until I auditioned for Naleo. So it's like I was still swinging my hammer, doing some intense carpentry work, hung out with Naleo, and eventually transitioned out of the 9-to-5 carpentry thing, and my wife and I mutually agreed that if it looks like music was knocking on my door again, we felt ready. Then I became a sort of full-fledged member of Naleo after that, and that's when things started just really accelerating. I never really aspired to like be a successful solo artist, I guess you could say, but it's just something I felt like wanted to try to do. But it was 1996 when I put out my first solo CD, Alana, and that was after a lot of soul searching, prayer, and collaborating with my cousin who wrote in Hawaiian language. I started to compose instrumental stuff with my slack key. And so when music comes to you by inspiration, there's moments that you have in which the song, sometimes it feels like it almost writes itself. Some of my earlier writings, I kind of leaned on the influence of my faith, and then later on I started to draw on more topics that's close to my heart. Off of my first CD, I collaborated with my cousin and wrote the song And that song came out pretty amazing in how the poetry, both in Hawaiian and English, is used to describe our love for each other, actually. My wife and I were in my white Dodge van, and I remember Randy Hudno saying, I got some new music here, I'm gonna debut. Kavika Kahiapo, and one of my songs came on. It was a pretty emotional moment for me, thinking what my career had gone through up until that point in my life. And that was a time where Hawaiian Radio KCCN was still playing straightforward Hawaiian music. So the song I wrote for my wife with my cousin, Ku'upilioha, when the CD was released, Ku'upilioha was like either #1 or in the top 5 for like 12 weeks. People were recognizing all the different elements, melodically, lyrically, with the Hawaiian hidden meanings, the kauna, all of it came together pretty well for that first Hawaiian CD I put out.
E ku'ulei ku'upili o ke aomoela, ku'umili mili, ki puni mai kong aloha kai ki mai. A'alea e nei kalia o nei pu'uwaila, he vai vai oe, e ho'olono i nei leona e nahe. E ho mai ko aloha, ku'upili oha, e pili mai. Alia mai lai kon leo, a he leo honela, I ke kau ahi ai, me he o no e la he lili no e o kauka. E kuia e ka lei ka ui ka uma uma, e hi I po ia, e nani mai o le ke ia lei ki pona. E ho mai ko aloha, ku'upili oha, e pili mai.
My wife and I got married August 4th, 1979. I met my wife actually when I was in high school, 16 years old. These two sisters, well, one of them's my wife now. They were having this party, and so we got into a jam session, hanging out, talking story, and I played Jerry Santos' song, Ku'uhome o Kahalu, and it was my wife's absolute favorite Hawaiian song at the time. My wife came and sat next to me. We started a conversation. We hung out through the night till the sun came up the next morning. I got her phone number, we stayed in touch, and the rest is history. We sort of just really opened up our lives to each other at a really young age. So making a choice to get married at 19, and even though we were young, that's how committed we were to each other, and I thank God for that today. It's just an amazing blessing now. We'll be married 37 this year, and 5 children and 3 grandchildren. You know, life is good. So I guess you could say it was like love at first drum.
E ku'ulei ku'upili o ke aomoela, ku'umili mili, ki puni mai ko aloha kai ki mai. A'alea I nei galia nei uwaila, he vai vai oe, e ho'olo e ho mai ko aloha ku pili oha e pili mai e pili mai
That year when I released my Alana CD, I was invited to a Slack Key festival at the zoo, Honolulu Zoo. And so that was the first Slack Key festival, quote unquote, that I did with the gang. And that was 1996. And Milton has had me on the annual Slack Key calendar ever since. Is that 20 years now?
As I get to the sunrise over Manana.
I took him on tour with us, and I realized that he was definitely somebody that's up and coming, that's going to be known in Hawaii for this genre of music.
If you really watch him play and watch the things that he does, he is brilliant. I mean, he can do things that in a style that he plays that no one else can do.
The thing I like mostly about Kawika is that he's so anchored to the culture, he's so humble, and he's so filled with aloha. These days it's a kind of like a precious commodity to have.
He just has a style like nobody else has, and he has so much gift to give to everybody else.
If you listen to Kawika's playing too, the style and the gut string guitar and stuff, it is healing. It's so healing and gentle.
Every year we try to find new people or up and coming talent or people that are talented and we didn't know about to try and show the world. But we still have yet to find anyone that can somewhat emulate what Kawika does. There's no one over the last 20 years plus that kind of has that feel that Kawika has.
A little heaven on earth, Makapu.
My second solo album was a project I called One Heart, One Voice. And the influence of that particular CD, the title cut was something I wrote for the Queen, what she endured through the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii. She opted not to rebel for the sake of more Hawaiians losing their lives or at the cost of their bloodshed. That did include a couple of Christian theme songs that I translated into Hawaiian. A Slack Key song I wrote called Honu. That was a really fun project to work on. I guess it wasn't until I did that project, One Heart, One Voice, was when I felt like music was a platform for me to express my feelings, a place that I love, I've grown up in. So I've been inspired and motivated by a bunch of different elements around me during those years when I was performing with Palani Vaughn, the specific stories and history that came with each and every one of those different monarchs. It was then that I guess my political trigger went on and I started to realize there was a lot that Hawaii had experienced and gone through. I started to see that music was a powerful way to bring out something within you that you feel like is a voice that should be heard or a cause that should be heard. I think I'm thankful that in my 20s or so, I realized that powerful thoughts can help inspire. 97, right about the time I did the One Heart, One Voice CD, I was involved in 2 other projects almost consecutively following that. One was a Slack Key album, instrumental Slack Key album of inspirational music. It was called Slack Key Praise that I do with Leon Siu. And another project was a collaboration of a couple of other musicians, Del Beasley and Dwight Kanai. We played at one of my auntie's luau's one of those impromptu jams, and the magic was just unbelievable. So we got together and talked about maybe we should think about doing a project one day. So after committing to do that, we decided each of us would write about 3 or 4 songs, bring it to the table, and we put out a CD called 3D. All our 3 names, it starts with the letter D, David, Del, and Dwight. So we called it 3D in Living Color. And I wrote the title track for that CD. There were a couple of years that my calendar was busy promoting my newfound solo career. Stuff with Naleo, with Jesse Rivera, and also with Native Hawaiian Band and the Slacky guys doing Slacky tours and shows with Milton Lau. So yeah, there was a period of about 94, 95, 96 up to like 98 maybe. The calendar was really super busy. Slacky is very interesting. Much like other things Hawaiian, has been accepted all over the world, and even in mainstream music, blues, rock, bluegrass, country, western, slacky and steel guitar has brought a big impact on, acoustic music for decades. One of our local surfers, Poncho Sullivan, was getting married to his wife Haunani. I remember doing a solo set that night. So after my session there at Poncho's wedding, I was leaving the venue and someone tapped my shoulder and I turned around, it was Jack.
He was just playing some slacky, just kind of filling in the space, and everybody was talking story, and I was looking over and I was like, wow, this guy is not joking around, this guy's amazing. And again, that's the neat thing about Hawaii and music here is just, it's not always like some big stage with fancy lights and all that kind of stuff, it's, here was Kavika playing music, and then afterwards he was just packing up his own stuff off to the side. And so I just walked up and started talking with him just about some of the music he was playing, the tunings, and I just started playing around a little bit with some open tunings. And
he was learning slacky for some old guy on the North Shore, but he was interested in maybe hanging out with me when he heard the style that I play, which is specifically nylon.
So he started really kind of opening my ears to all these different open tunings, different stuff. I kind of had like one standard taro patch thing I knew, and then he was like showing me, oh, if you drop the D down to a C, then you can do these chords. And I mean, so many of my recordings from, probably like my 3rd and 4th record on, started having at least 1, 2 songs on every one that had a lot of like slacky tunings. But then my newest record, half the record is all in this tuning that he was really excited when I showed him, because he was telling me, he's like, oh, it's the one Blah used to always play.
And Jack and I have been friends ever since. We've collaborated on probably half a dozen projects now.
When I play with Kaviks, it's like sometimes I'll take the prettiest song I have and the slowest one, and then he'll play along, and it just becomes more pretty. He just adds something that, instead of filling up every space, it's just a counter melody sometimes, real pretty with the soft nylon strings too, and then on the other extreme, we could take some of my more upbeat songs and he can jam out in a way that's almost like some stuff reminds you of Van Halen. And so everything in that spectrum from taking my most upbeat songs and then making them lift even higher, to taking the ones that to me, like sometimes I only picture them with an acoustic guitar and my voice, but then when you have somebody who can play as subtle as Kavika, then you can bring him in on that and it just makes it even more delicate in a way.
Back in 2004, 2005, met up with a bunch of guys. We formed a band, Kaukahi, which I became an integral part of. We got together, started writing and collaborating, put out our first group CD, Kaukahi, Life in These Islands. Song I wrote, Life in These Islands, was Song of the Year. 2007, we were the Group of the Year. I was the Slacky Artist of the Year.
As he got to where he was growing with Kaukahi, now it's an award-winning group, and they're really sharing the spirit. So I get to introduce them with the spirit of God, you know, and their mighty Hawaiian music. And they are just filled with this beautiful, wonderful spirit that carries them through. So yes, it's Kihoalo, yes, it's Hawaiian music, but it has this very, very special meaning and spirit that becomes not religious, but spiritual.
Life in These Islands, when I wrote that, I was on my way to work one night and a melody started coming to me. And I'm like, wow. So I'm in my truck, I'm driving, and I dig into my ashtray. I think I found a napkin or a piece of scratch paper, and I had a pen. And I probably wrote the first verse and part of the second verse. By the time I got to my gig, went home later that night and wrote the rest of the song. I wanted to describe the extreme bookends of our islands, Kalalau and Kauai to Naalehu on the Big Island. There's a certain way we do what we do, day by day at work or play in these islands. It was obvious to me. The theme of the song was really focusing on all the elements that make life special here in our islands. Yeah, that was quite a year. That was 2007. And for the next 10 years, I just kept going back into the studio and doing a whole bunch of studio work and guitar work for other musicians, bands, groups.
The life of a Hawaiian musician is a busy one. I know that for sure. While we are blessed to be musicians, it often takes many gigs and sometimes a lot of travel to support a growing family. It can be even harder to find the time to participate in the community. But Kavika is ever present, serving wherever he feels called.
Whether you're a kumuhula, an educational instructor, kalo farmer, musician, I think the term practitioner, from a Hawaiian point of view, always comes back to some foundational, multi-generational. We are in a place we are now because of the foundation and the groundwork that the generations before us laid. How we use what we have and been blessed with to inspire that spirit of aloha, sharing, depositing, mentoring, teaching is something I try to practice every day, everywhere I go.
Being a mentor is, I think, is one of the top priorities in his life that he should really focus on, because he's had his steps that he had to climb, you know what I mean? Been there, done that. It's always good to know where you've been, where you're going, and where you're at.
You know, there's a saying to the effect of a mentor teaches a student, but both learn. And then how we share that with the greater community is all part of perpetuating the culture and I guess making sure that it's sustaining even long after we're gone.
There's a point where you got to do business to keep things flowing, right? Keep things moving for yourself, the family, all that, business partners. And then at the same time, you got to maintain the aloha and the Hawaiian in you. Not just words, you know, it's a feeling. And that's the kind of leadership that to me, Kavika has.
The other sort of, I guess, added benefits or blessing as a Hawaiian musician is meeting some amazing, unique, awesome people who have been serving in the community, giving back, inspiring, working with kids and youth in the school system, in the educational system. And I'm so fortunate to be on the board of directors with Kokua Hawaii Foundation, founded by Jack Johnson and his wife Kim. And it's a nonprofit organization, and its sole vision, purpose, and goal is to bring sustainable environmental education into the school system.
When we first met, the first conversation, half of it was about music, and then the other half was just about things going on in the community or things he was involved with. The guy is amazing. I mean, he has you know, his mana'o and so many different foundations and great things going on in Hawaii. So, I mean, to our board, he just brings aloha. You know, it's that simple.
It's just something that, again, we bring to the kids that get them to understand and embrace recycling, worm composting, farm-to-table gardens on their school campus, and to really grasp the idea and behavior of taking care of our natural resources and environment. In a little way, I always was aware of the fact that Hawaii's natural resources were suffering at the hand of corporations and poor stewardship. It really came into sharp focus when I was acquainted with Jack Johnson. We became friends, but you know, he inspired me a lot with what he was doing with the foundation.
What's been going on? Look what's happening all around. Time to make a change, 'cause change is what we need. The earth was made to provide, don't need no chemicals and lies. Live naturally, no better place to be on Mother Earth.
He invited me to sing at one of his festivals, Kokua Hawaii Foundation Kokua Festival, which was a fundraiser for the foundation. But when I saw the impact and the footprint of what he did with the team that surrounded him, it just blew me away, because there were like 100 or so kids from Kamehameha schools who manned water stations and trash collection at the concert. There was an eco village of all sustainable farmers, planters, crafters, clothing makers, of everyone who lived the lifestyle of sustainability. So that was a really amazing wake-up call for me.
Our love is our land, what the land can give to me. Unforgotten generation, generations to be. Vision of our young will carry us along. No time to waste, it's all slipping away. Gotta do what we can.
In the world of nonprofit work, I find there's people, you know, protesting the things they don't want to see in the world, which you need, trying to kind of break down the things you don't want to see. You have builders that are trying to build up the things you do want to see, and you have weavers which are the people connecting, you know, like seeing those connections, like, oh, you should be working with so-and-so, or you need funding and they have a lot of funds, or looking for a place. And Kavika's great with all three of those, to be honest.
And that year, Jack and his wife Kim initiated me as the MC for the event. And then that following year, I got invited to join them on the board of directors for the foundation. It's just been an amazing ride, amazing impact and success with that movement.
You know, he stands up for the things he believes in. He writes songs that proudly state where he's at and how he feels about things. And then he also is just amazing in the meetings when we're all talking, and he'll be quiet over on the side, and then, oh, you know, I know Uncle so-and-so, and he'd be great to bring in here. Or we're gonna do an event somewhere, oh, we gotta make sure to bring the kapuna from that side, and he knows those people, you know, he's always great with all that kind of knowledge.
What's been going on? Look what's happened all around. Time to make a change, 'cause change is what we need. The earth was made to provide, don't need no chemicals in life. Live naturally, no better place to be on Mother Earth. Gotta do what we can on Mother Earth. Gotta do what we can on Mother Earth.
You know, here in Oahu, with the whole urban, rural, and ongoing mix of mixed emotions, struggle, land issues. I'm also on the board of directors for North Shore Community Land Trust that exists solely to help preserve and protect land in perpetuity for future generations.
The North Shore Community Land Trust has been another great project that Kavika and I have been involved in. A lot of really important land has been preserved around here for the public use for everybody in Hawaii. A lot of the hiking trails right up behind here. And so we get to play a lot of music with that one too. That's fun. Kavika organizes the music component of the fundraiser every year.
One of the biggest projects that we were involved in helping to protect was a big push for what was known as Pupukea Paumaluu. 1,140 acres or so was in question, and for almost a couple of decades, the major concern was development because of a Japanese corporation at the time owning the land and proposing to develop, which eventually led up to Jack Johnson getting on a plane, going to Japan, and negotiating. They basically told him, well, you need to purchase it back from us then. So he came back, and along with other funders and collaborative efforts of different entities, funding sources, Hawaiian groups, military group, city and county and state, I have to say a collaboration of unlikely allies came together. It was important enough that we raised the funds to purchase back the property at Pupukea Paumaluu, to not only help set aside, but now to manage and maintain and protect for future generations.
I think that that's part of the whole nature of the Hawaiian man. You know, community and family is so important, yeah. You know, and I know that Kavika is involved in so many things on the windward side, and it's kind of like just a natural thing you do, especially when you know that you're gifted in music, because music is so healing. Yeah, so with that healing, you know, you kind of find it in yourself to want to give back.
Leslie Wilcox, she called me one day and talked about how she took over the directorship at PBS Hawaii, and that her platform founded on the philosophy of what is pono, what is right, what is true, what is correct. She invited me to be on the board of directors. And what was so amazing was that the moment that I started to assimilate into the vision of PBS, goals were incredibly similar, and same to some of the other aspects of my involvement in other entities in the community. Multi-generational, educational, and Leslie's emphasis was that PBS would lean heavily on what the culture could bring to the table that would be revealed in a national platform of PBS programming, and how Hawaii, in its socio-economical, spiritual, historical, cultural history, was a little gem. And I'm actually really blown away by my involvement with PBS Hawaii.
Caring is important, but he's always been like that, you know. I think he's always cared about everybody and everything. And so when he says he's going to do something, he does it.
Here at Blanche Pope Elementary, a mural project was initiated with a couple of guys from a group called Mele Murals. I met them and got to know the guys, and got their permission to sit in and jump in and help paint the mural. The beauty about the mural is the brothers involved assembled the kids, walked down to the beach, sat the kids in a circle, did some pule, and he asked all of them to just ponder and think what they feel would be the subject matter. So in this time of meditation, a lot of them started to reveal what they felt was the mo'olelo of the area. And so for the kids to be involved from thought to actual painting process, which the kids were all involved, was, I think, really amazing. What the mural has done is a reminder to not only the students, but the faculty, staff of the school, of what they're surrounded by in this Ahupua'a, or district of Wahipana of East Oahu. We find a lot that in both the school system and among troubled kids, culture is a unique way to get them to even just have an aha wake-up moment. When they grasp onto that, there seems to be a sort of new channel, a newfound love or experience to learn. I'm initiating a new program at Hawaii Youth Correctional Facility. So I contacted my friends at Koaloha Ukulele, and it was a no-brainer. They agreed to donate the ukuleles that I'm gonna go take into the Youth Correctional Facility and start to initiate some ukulele lessons with the boys. I'm really looking forward to that, and I think they're sort of excited about that happening. And I know a couple of guys who are part of the staff there, and they think it'll be a good thing to get them motivated and sort of on track with something positive. I live and breathe with strong faith. It's been that spiritual grounding that I will say, as a husband, as a father, as a musician, as another typical local boy. You know, I believe my life today is a result of being able to apply certain principles that allow us to take a step back and trust that God is out there, inspiring, motivating us, empowering us, healing us, changing us. So that's a huge part of my everyday life. It's not a day goes by that I ponder where I'm at in my life as a father. You gotta spend not every waking moment, but as often as you can remember, to take time to contemplate, to pray, whatever it is. Get quiet, be thankful, and trust and pray that not only you can live for another day, but how you can be used to help life be better for someone else. And when the challenges come, you know, I always kind of bring it back into the focus and filter of why I do what I do. And simply, the word is aloha. Where I'm at as a Hawaiian man, as a man of Christian faith, aloha is my gospel, and the prophecy given to us by Auntie Pilahi Paki is that in a time of turmoil, the world will look to Hawaii, and we have something to share with the world. And I'm just doing my part. What we do here in this little cluster of little rocks and stones of islands in the middle of the Pacific can definitely profoundly impact the world. When I eventually moved to Waimanalo, I love where I'm at. I love my neighbors. I love my house. I love sitting on my porch at night and hearing the waves crash on the ocean. I love looking up at the mountains and at the sky. Waimanalo, for me, ended up being treasure trove of inspiration for writing. The song I read about Makapu'u, I just gather all the different, we say mo'olelo, or stories of all the points of interest in Makapu'u. Out in the bay, there's two islands. We know as Rabbit Island and Bird Island, but its given names are Manana and Ka'ohikaipu. There's an ancient cave up on the hill called Kianaokiakua or Pololi. The bay areas, Kalapueo, a little cove called Kaupo. So all those elements inspired me to kind of draw on and describe what my vision or my perception of the beauty of that place. As I gaze into the sunrise over Manana, Akianokeakua Pololi, and the canopy of mist over Ka'ohikaipu sits above the waves that find their destiny. Kaulana Makapu'u Kuahivi kukila kila ikaupu. Oh, look, you will find a place like no other kind, a little heaven on earth, Makapu'u. A Kalapueo, the wind swirls out to sea and finds its way down the slopes of Kaiwi. Nakuhola dancing playfully out on the ocean blue. Keakua made this place for me and you. Kaulana Makapu'u Kuahivi kukila kila ikaupu. You will find a place like no other kind, a little heaven on earth, Makapu'u. little heaven on earth, Makapu. As I gaze into the sunrise over Manana, Ake ano ke akua pololi, and the canopy of mist over Kauhi Kaipu sits above the waves that find their destiny. Kaulala, Makapu, Kuahiwi ko kila kila ikapu. Look, you will find a place like no other kind, a little heaven on earth, Makapu. Look, you will find a place like no other kind, a little heaven on earth, Makapu. A little heaven on earth, Makapu. A little heaven on earth, Makapu. In 2014, I had a couple of projects that I started on a few years prior to that. I just kind of got those back on track, finished them, mastered them, marketed both of those. One was the album Ku'u Aina Aloha. My song Waimanalo is on. So again, it seems like a whole bunch of resource and inspiration was kind of flowing and clicking to where I wrote some of the new songs I had on that CD. So I released that in 2014, August or so, and then late October I did an all instrumental Slacky album I call Ho'omaluhia. It was just a bunch of Slacky music that I either compiled, put together, performed on other CDs, and some new stuff that I wrote for that particular CD. So in 2015, my Ku'u Aina Aloha CD won Na Hoku Hano Hano Award for Island Album of the Year. And my Slacky CD, Ho'omaluhia, was the winner for the Slacky Album of the Year. It's humbling when you get recognized for what you do and the work you put into what you do. But the reality is I'm always amazed how there's so many talented performers, musicians, composers here in Hawaii. So, I mean, to create and put it out there and to be among the other musicians and peers in the entertainment industry, it's really humbling. Not only your music gets recognized, but to have won a couple of awards is pretty fulfilling for me. The song I wrote, Waimanalo, I guess you could say is what residents of Waimanalo have been thinking for decades, but never got around to expressing maybe, the feeling.
That was one of the last songs that we did, and I instantly knew that was going to be the hit of the album and my favorite song.
Soon after I moved to Waimanalo, I got a call from Shiro Pahinui one day for a video shoot. He gathered about a dozen of us musicians, and it was just going to be one big backyard jam session. So I was honored. He called me and invited me to the video shoot. Hung up the phone, got inspired, grabbed a pen and a piece of paper. 45 minutes later is the song Waimanalo I wrote.
He came in 2 or 3 weeks before we were going to close up the whole project. He played it and I was like, oh my God, can we redo the whole project with stuff like this?
Personally, I'll describe that as one of my God moments. 45 minutes is not a whole lot of time to get uploaded some information. So it was definitely divine inspiration.
It was so simple. I mean, but the lyrics that he wrote and the melody that he did, and his instrumentation that he did was so amazing. it hits you.
For the east side of Oahu, where blue meets blue, and the ocean and sky become one. There's a place that I come from on the east side of paradise, where blue meets blue and the ocean and sky become one, where the mountains and the sea that call out to me, come on over, and the peaceful sound of the waves come rolling in. Waimanalo, no other place to be. Waimanalo, loved by all who come to see. Kuvahipana, kukulaivi, kuaina aloha. The kupuna and the keiki come and lay at Kaiona, and the gentle breezes circle it as Holu swim on by. Visions of ancient days take me back to another time. At Pahonu and Kaupo, ancestors came to know this place so fine. Waimanalo, no other place to be. Waimanalo, loved by all who come to see. Kuvahipana, kukulaivi, kuaina aloha. Waimanalo, no other place to be. Waimanalo, loved by all who come to see. Kuvahipana, kukulaivi, kuaina aloha. There's a place that I come from on the east side of paradise, where blue meets blue and the ocean and sky become one, where the mountains and the sea they call out to me, come on over, and the peaceful sound of the waves come rolling in. Waimanalo, no other place to be. Waimanalo, loved by all who come to see. Kuvahipana, kukulaivi, kuaina aloha. Kuvahipana, kukulaivi, kuaina aloha.
Each generation of musicians stand up to answer the call to carry us forward. Their music reflects their personality and their times, while honoring their roots. Along the way, their lives are a testimony of the music and culture through their aloha and how they share it. Kawika Kahiapo lives the spirit of aloha in everything he does, and in every note he plays resonates both the future and the past. Kawika has added incredible songs to the ever-growing songbooks of Hawaii, and he continues to be a great example of aloha for the next generation of musicians to follow.
What's next for me will always be an open-ended question. I know I'll keep creating, keep composing, keep playing. Really, if you look at the gist of my career is how I've supported other people, other acts.
Kawika is authentic. he's a real Hawaiian. I mean, he's helped influence so many young generations, you know, and older generations and stuff. Especially when you're a songwriter like he is, you know. So where you find those things can only come from upstairs, you know.
For a small state like we are, with just about 1 million population, we have made an impact on the world with our music and our dance. And so guys like Kawika, you know, are at the forefront of this whole movement. He will have a very major impact, not only upon the music industry here, but also among the many young musicians that are, you know, looking to find a way, you know, and he's the kind of guy that will help these younger guys.
When I was a budding musician in my early teens, I knew that I wanted to perform and play, mostly for the reasons that most people think: fun, notoriety, getting recognized. But at this point in my life now, I realize where I've come from that and what I experience now is really above and beyond what I could ever imagine or hope would really happen. With the people you meet, the places you get to go, things you get to experience along the way, it's just been an amazing journey. Music helps me build bridges and helps me communicate to people certain ideas that cause you to think about life, love, family, well-being, our natural resources. That message often, very often resonates with many a listener out there who take the song in and embrace it. I often get emails and Facebook notices about how some of the songs have touched people in a deep way, and that's satisfying. When I'm actually performing with my guitar, the sound that comes out of it, I guess really for me, it's therapeutic. I guess like painting would be for some. It's a moment that causes you to step back, to create, to be inspired. I'm just thankful that along the way, there were other mentors and other people who spoke into my life, like moments when I got to spend with Gabby Pahinui and people like Peter Moon, Sonny Chillingworth, Auntie Jano Kiave, Dennis Kamakai, George Kahumoku. It becomes part of the kuleana. It becomes part of what you become and then what you have to teach in the way of action. You know, with the guitar, vocal ability, composing, writing, and getting a specific theme or thought out there, it is almost like a canoe in that you can take a journey and pretty much go anywhere you want in delivering the style or genre of that particular piece or music. And so it's something that always ends up being so satisfying and gratifying that you sing a few lyrics and you can almost sort of escape in that, and the listeners can do the same by being able to sort of visit that place that you sing about by just iterating the lyrics and the words. I guess like the musician David of the Bible, my job is to help people feel happy and be moved and be blessed. When I know that that's what the ultimate outcome is, I'm happy. I'm glad that, and I'm thankful that I'm able to do that. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
My grandfather, he's a kindly man. He lives on homestead land. Sometimes he'd sing me the songs he wrote, but he was still a young man, and he'd play in the real old style, and he'd play in the real old style. My aunties, they all love to dance. The families love to sing. I sing with them when I get the chance, and they're filled with love for me, and they dance in the real old style. Now these folks, they are young no more. They will pass away. Know that I'll remember them and the songs they still play. And they'll play in the real old style, and they'll play in the real old style. Now I'm a young man still, with many things to see. Someday, when I grow old, I'll sing the songs they sang for me, and I'll play in the real old style. Now these folks, they are young no more. They will pass away. I know that I'll remember them and the songs they used to play. And they'll play in the real old style, and they'll play in the real old style. For the elders, the real old style.